Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Social Studies class. Of course, you know this is your teacher, Mr. Clark. Hope everybody's doing okay. Now today we are going to be looking at the role of the government and Caribbean citizens in promoting regional integration. Right now, I would have done a few subtopics under regional integration already. I hope that you guys would have seen them. But in case you haven't seen them, you can always feel free to consult the playlist so that you can find exactly what it is that you're looking for. Before we get into the video though, I'm going to ask those persons who are here for the first time to please go ahead and subscribe. Please also remember, guys, to hit that like button please, so that as many persons as possible will be able to see this video. And last but not least, please remember to share the videos as many times as possible. Alright, in order for us to fully understand our role as citizens and the role of the government in promoting regional integration, I think it is critical that we first understand what globalization is, right? Because our role and the role of the government is really derived from the problems that are associated with globalization, right? So students need to first understand exactly what globalization is. Now, I would have touched on globalization in some other videos, but I'm going to break it down a little bit further for you so that you understand the implications that globalization has on the integration process. I have come up with a definition for you here. Globalization is the process by which ideas, knowledge, goods and services are spread across the world due to the development in technology. Right? So basically what we're saying here is that globalization is that process by which the world is becoming connected. Right? The world has become connected, and this is so due to technology. Due to the advent of technology, people are now able to access things right across the world, right? So traveling is possible right across the world. The purchasing of goods and services, buying and selling, trading is made possible through technology. So oftentimes you will hear people saying that the world is now a global village, right? Because everybody now has access to everything across the world pretty much, right? So you can stay wherever you are and purchase something anywhere in the world right now, right? And that is made possible because of technology. So communication, you can talk to persons right across the world, right? That is a part of globalization. So the exchanging of ideas, the exchanging of goods and services is made possible through technology, and that is what we refer to as globalization. Right, now globalization basically, as I said before, it makes certain things possible, right? So online shopping, people are now shopping online. People are now getting other options, right? You can stay here, you can do your online shopping, you can stay in Jamaica, you can stay in Barbados, in Trinidad, anywhere at all. You can basically stay and shop for things right across the world, right? So we need to understand, before we understand our role, we need to understand the impact that globalization will have on the Caribbean people. All right? So the impact of globalization on Caribbean people, number one, I have listed a few here. Number one, a wider variety of goods to choose from, right? So people will basically have a larger market from which to shop. Right? So you're no longer restricted to the little corner shop in your community. You're no longer restricted to the supermarkets and the shops and the stores in your parish or in your country. You have an open market now, right? So because of technology, you can shop from far and wide, right? So you have a wider variety of goods from which to choose, all right? Consumers can now compare prices and quality. Right, so now you're seeing other things apart from the things that are closest to you, right? Because of globalization, you're now seeing things that are far. You're now seeing things you can easily go online and you can compare the prices of the goods you can also compare the quality of the goods that you're seeing. All right. Number 3, competition for local producers and retailers. Right. So with this open market now, with people having access to other markets right across the world, there is bound to be some sort of competition. Right now, this is the red flag. If you notice, I've highlighted this point. This is basically the one that will cause problems for the Caribbean, right? Because when there is competition for our local producers, right, you will find that our producers will basically be at a disadvantage. And the reason for this is because goods that are produced in the first world countries, goods that are produced in the developed countries, are likely to be of a better quality because they have better raw materials. They have access to more and better raw materials, right? They are likely to be cheaper because the cost of production in these foreign countries, in these developed countries, is likely to be far less than the cost of production in the Caribbean, right? And I am saying this mainly because in the Caribbean, we have to basically import most of the raw materials that we use to produce our goods, right? So when we import these goods from these overseas countries, we have to add that cost to the cost of production, right? So the cost of production increases. Most developed countries can produce their own raw materials, or they can get it at a cheaper rate, right? So they are able to sell goods at a cheaper rate. All right. So basically, competition for local producers and retailers is a problem brought about by globalization. All right. Now, what can the government do in really minimizing the effects of globalization? Number 1, the government can ensure that they honor CARICOM protocols, right? So there are certain protocols that have been established by CARICOM to basically support each other, to basically buy from each other then, right? Buy from the members. Ensure that your first choice is to always buy from your neighbors, buy from your fellow CARICOM countries as long as they produce the goods that you want, right? So instead of buying from other foreign countries or from other external sources, you should first ensure that you honor the protocols by supporting each other, right? So that is one thing, because sometimes you find that some governments will want to breach these protocols, and that is not something that you want to happen, right? That will basically put a damper on regional integration. All right. The second point is that governments can ensure that they educate citizens about the objectives and the benefits of regional integration, right? So you find that one of the things that basically cause regional integration to not be so successful is because the citizens are not educated or sensitized about regional integration, right? So I've listed a few options as to what the government can use to sensitize or to educate citizens about regional integration. The government can, of course, use social media. They can use apps. They can use television or creating websites. All of these medium can be used to basically educate citizens about regional integration. All right. The third point, working together to assist local producers to develop their products, right? So you find that, of course, with the competition, as I said before, it will mean that the consumers from the Caribbean might be tempted to buy from external sources, might be tempted to buy from these markets that they know have access to, because the things that they're seeing online from these overseas countries, they are cheaper, and some of the times they are of a better quality, right? So the government, in order to ensure that the local producers, the producers from the Caribbean, can compete in these markets, can basically assist them, right? And they can assist them by subsidizing the cost of raw materials. They can also assist local producers by forming partnership with experts from other countries, right? Experts from within the region, from wherever. Form partnership with experts that will basically help local producers to develop their products. All right? Providing opportunities for educational development. Right? So this is a key point, I think. Local producers, as long as there are opportunities for them to develop themselves educationally, to get a better knowledge of how they can best develop their business, then I think that will basically help them to compete effectively in a global village. All right? So these are some of the things that the government can do. Now, what can the citizens do to really, what is the role of the citizen, the Caribbean citizen, in promoting regional integration? The Caribbean citizen can first of all start by supporting local producers, right? We have to support our producers in the region. Most of the times you find that, people will, because there's the option to buy elsewhere, because there's the option, you find that consumers will want to buy from just about anywhere, right? But believe it or not, you have some people within the region that will ensure that they check where their goods are produced and they try as best as possible to support the producers from the region, because they know that as long as they continue to support local producers, then these businesses will continue to exist, right? But if we fail to support our local producers, then sooner or later, they are going to have to stop being in operation. And that, of course, will affect the economies negatively, because several persons will be out of a job, right? So we need to ensure that we support our local producers. All right. Another thing that we can do as citizens is to ensure those who have the power to investing in local and regional businesses, right? So if you have the capital, if you are in a position to invest in local businesses, you can do so. Ensure that you play your part in making sure that these businesses continue, right? So you can invest. A lot of investors would prefer to invest in a more profitable, venture, because naturally that will give you fast cash. But if we are thinking about longevity, if we are thinking about, developing the region, we have to ensure that we invest in our local businesses. All right? Conserving on the region's resources, that's another point. Right? We need to ensure that we conserve on our resources within the Caribbean, right? Because if we continue to waste our resources, for example, and many people do not realize this, but it starts from as little as conserving electricity at home. When you conserve electricity at home, it simply means that, you don't waste the electricity that could be used to produce goods. Because we have to remember that electricity is basically generated from oil, right? So if we continue to use a lot of electricity in our households, it simply means that there will be less oil to generate electricity for production purposes, right? So the oil that could be used to produce goods, we are overusing it. We are wasting it in our homes, right? And hence it basically causes a damper on the production sector. So we can play our part by conserving on the region's resources. Do not waste the resources. The last point that I have here, developing awareness of regional integration and what the Caribbean seeks to achieve. Right? Of course, we have a responsibility As citizens, we have a responsibility to ensure that we know what regional integration is, we know what it is all about, we know what the region seeks to achieve, and we play our part. So the onus is on us to ensure that we go out, consult the websites, consult the radio, consult the television, and ensure that we play our part in becoming aware of what regional integration is all about. Right? So that is where we're going to stop for today, students. I really hope that you would have learned something from today's lesson, and I will see you in the next class.